Hey guys, it's Pete from Beef Anxiety here. Welcome in today's episode. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Let's talk about a few things real quick. The Pete vs. Anxiety Team Anxiety Facebook group. Are you a part of it? You're not? What are you waiting for? The link's down here in the description down below, or go to Facebook and search Pete vs. Anxiety. Then look for the Team Anxiety Team page and join it today. Why not? You can join and help. It'll be great. Yeah, like right now. Hurry up. Stop what you're doing, pause this video, go do it right now. But anyways, let's also talk about the Pete vs. Anxiety YouTube page. If you're here right now, you're probably following it most likely. If not, head on over there, subscribe, be sure to like and comment on the videos and let me know, because all that stuff really helps, guys. I really appreciate it. And help me break the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. But anyways, guys, let's get in today's episode. I'll have a great one. Thank you so much again. And as I always say, don't ask how your day is. Ask how your mental health is today.
Guys, welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. My guest today is a marriage therapist, sex therapist, and a fellow podcaster. She's trained in working with couples in the impact of trauma, including combat, sexual trauma, relationship violence, and PTSD. Please welcome in the host of the Communication and Connect podcast for military relationships, the one, the only, Liz. How you doing, Liz?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here, Liz. Why don't you give everybody a little bit more rundown about yourself, and then we'll get into our conversation.
Yeah, happy to. I think it's always nice to let people know that I'm a military spouse, and my husband is in the Navy. He's actually currently deployed right
Well,
now.
you tell them thank you for your
Um,
service for us.
Thank you. I come from a dual military family, and I know one of the things that we were talking about briefly was sort of what led me to marriage counseling. And really, I think it was my own parents' relationship. Military life had as it does for every military couple, had a huge impact on their relationship, and that really set me down a whole path of trying to figure out, like, what is it? What's the science behind relationships that make relationships work
Yeah.
and last a long time? So now now I still practice and I work mostly with couples. And I also have a training clinic in Virginia. We have offices in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and in Fairfax, where we train therapists on working with couples using a very specific modality called emotionally focused therapy. And most of our clients are military and veteran couples. So it's really quite exciting that we're growing.
That's awesome, though. I mean, especially the military ones, because a lot of times when people get deployed, such as your husband, it's rough on that spouse, man. She's stuck here handling all these things, doesn't know something goes on. Obviously, she's to start panicking because she doesn't know what's going on. She just knows what she's hearing, and then she's waiting for communication and things like that. So it's got to be stressful, though, with him there, and then, hearing these things are happening somewhere near where he's at. And you're just like, well, man, is he okay? And then you don't hear anything right away. It's got to be stressful. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I try not to get too into the news,
Yeah. No, I get that
sometimes
completely.
because of that.
Yeah. Well,
But
yeah,
it
I get
doesn't.
that completely, though.
Yeah. Of course, other people will still, send me messages on Facebook or text me, and they're like, "Oh, is your husband okay?" And um, but think thankfully, my husband is. I'm not too worried. He's not going to be like in the front lines of a
Yeah.
combat situation. That would be way more stressful. I know so many military spouses who have more of a situation like that based off of their partner's job. Um, but I think the thing that impacts spouses a lot is actually the depression,
Yeah.
like the loneliness, and that is it's they call it military spouse deployment depression because it's so common for military spouses to feel depressed, and have more anxiety symptoms too. But really, the depression hits many spouses during the deployment period.
So let's talk about that in a little bit. So in that situation, what are some things they can do? Like what kind of things could say somebody may be dealing with these things that hasn't seen somebody. Can maybe you can throw them a little couple tips like, hey, listen, these are some things you should try and do because I know it's hard, and all that kind of stuff. But we got you here right now. This is your area, so
Yeah.
now it's time to shine for them.
Yeah. Well, there's a full range of, like, of many sort of skills and things that you can do to help with depression. Of course, I would always recommend that somebody go to therapy.
Yeah.
Um, Getting connected with other military spouses who are going through the same thing, whether that's a support group, a therapy group, or people who are connected to um, like the squadron that your spouse is associated with. um, Having other people that are going through the same thing is always very helpful.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah. I get that.
having things to look forward to, so planning trips to go see friends or family, or to go to a concert, or to go, go do whatever, some sort of fun thing to look forward to. Having those planned sporadically throughout the months that your partner is gone, those help. Getting into a routine, um, of course, exercise, like, has always been shown to be like across many types of situations where you might experience depression. Exercise is consistently something that helps regulate mood. So things
Yeah.
like that can be really helpful.
Yeah, I mean that could make sense though. I mean, exercise always helps everybody. Get up, kind of get moving. Keep your mind busy. Well, you do a podcast, so like doing something like that too. It keeps you busy, just
Yes,
keeps you kind of going and things like that too.
the busyness
So
helps.
yeah, oh, I bet
Absolutely.
it does. Yeah, especially running a podcast. You know what it's like for trying to run your own on your side and everything like that, and things like that too. So that was where I'm leading my next question to. Is like your podcast. So when did you
Yeah.
start it exactly? I'm really curious.
Yeah. I started my podcast, the Communicate and Connect podcast, in 2020. It was a COVID project, actually.
Okay.
So it was like, everyone was home. I was working less because at the very beginning,
Yeah.
I had most of my clients were in person, and
Yeah.
we all thought, this is going to be a couple weeks, you know. And so everybody was canceling sessions until we could come back in person, and then when that didn't happen, we switched to online. But during that period, I was like, what do I do with my time? I guess I'll start a podcast. And so it's been going for um, several years now, which is kind of exciting.
Beautiful.
And we really do focus it. It has a lot of information about general relationship topics
Yeah.
and things that could help couples in general, but we do try to focus it for military and veteran couples, and addressing some of the unique aspects of what they're experiencing.
Yeah. Speaking of couples, I know that they don't know how to communicate. Why is that?
Yes.
Like you know what
Oh
I'm saying? Like
man.
they like when they do have a conversation though, it's like the best way to describe it is like it feels like you're getting like when you start having those honest conversations with your partner, it feels like a lot of times people just want to go to attack each other. But that's not the point. The point is that you're having to have an honest conversation about where you both are at. And stop me if I'm wrong somewhere there, but that's what it feels like. So a lot of them go for like they're getting ready to go for the throat, man. They're going to war at this point. It
Yes.
is. It shouldn't be like that. You're not asking for the other person to bring you down. You're just trying to understand what their thoughts are on their side of the table, And sometimes you all may not link up, and that makes sense. It happens. It's okay to
Yeah.
me because I've been through it myself. I've had an honest conversation with my wife. It was not fun, but I mean, it had to
No.
happen. Like what I mean, it's sometimes you just got to have them and understand at the end of the day what you're looking for is you're looking to better understand where each other is at on each side of it, not sit there and attack each other. Am I not right on that one?
Yes, and some of it is like communication skills that were just never learned. Many people grow up, like so many couples that come into couples counseling with me. I'll ask them, like, well, how did your parents fight?
Yeah.
What did you see about and learn from the relationships around you about how to navigate conflict, how to negotiate and come to a compromise together, how to repair after a conflict. And so many of them tell me, I never saw any of it. Like their parents did it privately, or they didn't do it at all. They just stayed silent. So it's just sometimes these sorts of skills just didn't get learned or
Yeah.
modeled for them from other people. But I think the thing that I like to focus more on than just skills is that when it's my partner, because they're so important to me, they trigger difficult emotional places and old emotional wounds that I
Yeah.
have. And that just comes with loving someone. There's no way to prevent it. There's nothing wrong with anybody that happens. It is um, maybe supposed to happen because the person matters.
Yeah.
Um, so, for example, um, I'm thinking about a conversation recently around like, oh, you forgot to pick up the milk. So
Yeah.
this is the topic, and it's like, oh, it's milk. Why are we fighting about milk, right? But so partner one comes home, partner two's like, oh, did you get the milk? Partner one says, oh gosh, here I failed. I don't want my partner to see me as failing.
Yeah.
And then there's a little defensiveness, like, no, I forgot it. And then the other partner says inside themselves, well, why did you forget? Like, I only asked you one thing. Like, I did all of this stuff at the house. You couldn't just get milk, like, you
Yeah.
must not care. I'm not even on your mind to remember something that I'm asking for.
Yeah, isn't
And
that
then
funny though? It's that little thing that triggers you. It's like the milk, you get the milk. It's just like y'all start arguing about things, and it's like, is it really worth it at that point? It's like, no, but I could see where I could see that though. You're like, you're doing all these things, but all I asked you to do is one thing. It's kind of like what's that movie called? The Breakup, where Vince Vaughn
mhm.
and Jennifer Aniston, remember how they're talking about the lemons, and he's not really seeing the point of the conversation. He goes, I got you lemons. She goes, yeah, you got 3. I needed 12 of them. They're supposed to be for the centerpiece. And he's just like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I get the first time thinking when you say that. The whole milk thing. I'm just like, oh, God, here we go. We're fighting over milk
yeah.
now.
I love that clip. I will often show that clip to couples because it's such a good visual of like what
Yeah,
happens to all of us. That it's not about the lemons, it's not about the milk. While that is the thing that starts it all,
right.
it's actually about, do you care for me? Do you have my back? Do you accept me for who I am? Am I valued as a person here? Am I seen for what I contribute and my positive, good qualities? There's all of this other um, uh, important things that we all need in relationships. We all need to be loved. We all need
Yeah,
to be seen for who we are. Um, these aspects, when those are in doubt from something as small as lemons or milk, that is what really gets triggering for people in relationships, and how to then switch the conversation from milk or lemons to being a conversation of, hey, I'm getting a little triggered right here. I really need to know that you see how much I do actually contribute to this relationship,
yeah,
or I'm getting a bit triggered here. I need to know that you do think about me, that when I say I need something, that is a priority to you, that I'm not just the last thing on your list. So, and that's where couples really struggle because that's
yeah.
such a vulnerable thing to say.
Yeah, I get that though too, because like when my wife asks me to do something, she'll make comments sometimes like that. I tend to take on too much. Like I'll say I'll do this, I'll do that, do this, do that, and then I don't get them, and then she comes back over and goes, "Well, you said you're going to take care of this, and it's just that little thing. It just drives you nuts because it's like she's just jabbing at you, but she's not wrong. You said you're going to take care of these things, so you need to take care of them. You stop, and that's the problem. I try to help her, because a lot of times, she's tired when she gets home from work, and I'm usually I work nights, so I work opposite as she does. So I'm home usually during the day when I'm doing like my recordings, this show, and then after that, I have all that time to do other stuff. So I try to get things done around there because I know she appreciates it. She doesn't have to tell me, but I know it'll make her feel better when she comes home. So she'll be
Mm,
able to actually relax because she doesn't like to relax. She's very stubborn when it comes to that kind of thing. So if not, she'll try to do all these other things, and when you finally figure out the master key to how to do the way they want it to done, then you're just like, oh yeah, here we go. There's a big victory, which that's hard
yeah.
enough in itself, because she's very 80, she's very very what is that? I'm trying to think of what is this? She's very very
Like,
strict when it comes to her cleaning procedures. If you don't do certain things, she'll just, I've been trying to teach you these things. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm hard headed, so I don't learn. So, but when you finally get it, then it's like, all right, now I know exactly what you mean. And she's like, well, that's what I'm trying to say the whole time. Yeah, I know. Thanks. We think at a different level on things. I got you. Thanks. You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah.
it makes me laugh though. I mean, because it's like I think that's our strongest thing though. Is we tend to communicate about everything though, and it's weird because I wasn't used to that though. Like when my ex and I, we did fight all the time.
Mhm.
She's a very big narcissist. She gaslight me and things like that too. But it was the key thing to her was always keep me in a state of constant panic because that way she could control the situation and I'm not thinking clear. So she keep me constantly agitated about things. And then I wasn't sleeping much. Alcohol was involved, and yeah, it gets crazier from
Yeah,
there. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. And then it just breaks down
it
like that.
spirals.
Hmm.
And I think what you're kind of alluding to a little bit in what you're saying is how it can spiral and get
Oh
worse
yeah,
and worse and worse and worse. And this
yeah,
is really um, why it's so important for couples to be learning these skills in the very beginning, like while they're dating, premarital couples counseling, like in those first few years of marriage, because that is the time that we all are building our habits
yeah,
in relationships. And once like there's some research that indicates that couples don't come to couples counseling until there's been 6 years of problems in the relationship. And at that point, if you have 6 years of relationship problems, you're usually coming in a crisis. Like, are we breaking up? Are we divorcing? Is there any hope here? And then
yeah,
we have to undo 6 years of negative interactions between the two of you. So when couples can have a proactive approach, really be intentional in trying to learn skills at the very beginning, then that can really help them be more successful and prevent some of the like really vicious spirals that can happen.
yeah. But see, now my question that is why wait 6 years? I don't get it. Is it just because people are that afraid to go to therapy because they think that's the end all be all? I mean,
Mm,
I don't know why you would wait so long. You know what I mean? Like if you start having a
yeah.
lot of problems after like a year, I would think, okay, maybe we need to figure out what the issue is.
Yeah, that is a great question. I don't know that I have an answer to that. I think that it's common for one person in the relationship to want to go to counseling and the other person to not. And
Yeah,
usually the person who doesn't want to go is concerned about being blamed,
yeah,
being blamed as the problem. And um, that should not happen in couples counseling. I'll say, like, if you are with a couples counselor and one person is like being ganged up on and seen as the problem for all of the relationship stuff,
yeah,
like 99.9% that is not the case. It's just that we're stuck in this negative communication loop where we're unintentionally emotionally triggering each other.
yeah.
And that is something that the two people together are doing, and the two people together can find a way out of. But it is very scary to go in and feel like, oh gosh, my partner's probably going to blame me. Is the therapist going to blame me? Is anyone going to see my side of it?
Yeah.
So that's something I always talk to people about, is like it should feel like the therapist is pretty neutral between the two of you, that they're working on behalf of the relationship and not one partner over the other.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So I could see that though. You go in there, and a lot of times I bet it's the males on their side. The ones always like, "Oh, we don't need to talk about these problems or whatever." Because every time you see all these movies, that's always what they portray. It's always the dad's like, "Yeah, we don't need to talk about these problems or whatever." And the one I think of the most is what is that one? Shit. I haven't time my head, I can't think of it. It'll come back to me. But it's like it's always how it's always portrayed. The male is always the one that doesn't want to talk about the problems every time. He's just like, yeah, no. But you can feel the tension in the room, like,
Yeah.
and things like that too. And my parents, they fought all the time. Like my dad and mom would scream and yell about the craziest shit possible. Sometimes
Yeah.
it was about sex itself, and I'm just like, I don't want to hear this. These are my parents. I don't want to hear y'all talking about
Yeah.
your personal business from behind closed doors. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
And then when they split up, then it was the whole, okay, one badgering the other one kind of thing. And it was just like, we don't need to do that. There's no need for that kind of stuff.
Yes, I that goes back to the relationship modeling, right? Like
Yeah.
if they didn't have parents who did everything behind closed doors, that what you're talking about is also the other thing that's really common is that they would see a lot of fighting and
Yeah.
never a way to do it um, constructively or in a way that repaired things. I've had a lot of people say, nobody ever said sorry.
Yeah.
Like it was always, my way is the right way,
Yeah.
and nobody could ever apologize. And so then either people end up growing up thinking like, oh, this is the norm. This is how you handle conflict, and even if we're horrible to each other, it'll just be fine the next day,
Right.
you know? And then they get in relationships and they're like, "Oh, my partner isn't just okay with that the next day."
Right.
Or
Yeah,
they
you get that
get very
toxic relationship going because they think that's what they thought relationships should be like, and then when they get into an
exactly.
actual one that isn't, then it's like, "Oh, hold on, wait a minute, this isn't something new. I don't know what this is, man. I don't
Yeah.
like this too much. This guy's treating me nice. When's it?" That always that constant thought of doubt in your head. You're
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? That's the constant thing that'll constantly happen though too. It's like you start freaking out, like, okay, well, shit's gonna hit the fan eventually. What's gonna be the trigger point that this person's gonna do whatever toxic behavior my ex used to do, kind of thing. And I think that was the hardest part for me though, after 15 years, was like I had to realize that, my wife wasn't the same person. Like she didn't do the same things my ex did, but it was like she understood that though, which was great. But some partners don't get that though. It's like, once
Yeah.
you've gone through that for so long, it's like this is what you're used to. And and she'll call me out on some of my stuff I do too myself, but it's like she was so understanding though, like a lot of the stuff that happened, and it's great, but not everybody's fortunate to have that though, and
Yeah.
it sucks for a lot of people. I'm sorry, but I mean it does suck. It's really bad for a lot of them because some people don't understand that. Like when they deal with that for so long, then you get into a relationship where the actual person's actually supportive of what you do and it doesn't do the things that they were doing. It's strange to them because they don't know how to respond to those behaviors.
Yes. Very common. We're all like our nervous systems as humans, like we are, I guess our programming is to look for patterns
Yeah.
and to see like what is the pattern, what can I learn to expect in terms of how people are going to treat me, and then how can I prepare myself to navigate how people will treat me.
Right.
And especially if I was treated one way in my family growing up, and then that was repeated in my romantic relationships or my friendships. It's like really ingrained. This is
Yeah.
how I'm going to be treated. And
Yeah.
so if I get someone who doesn't treat me that way, it is very hard to learn to navigate that. You're almost in like a little bit of a hypervigilance on the lookout for like, when's the shoe going to drop? This can't possibly be
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
real.
I can tell you, I'm 100%. I've had that happen like that. It was like you're waiting for something to go bad, or you're the cause of the conflict because you're like you're so used to having to argue all the time about things, and it's just like they're not giving in the argument, so then you're confused because you're like, well, I'm getting mad. They're not getting mad too with me. This is not normal. What the hell's going on here? And it's like I think that was the hardest part though. Is like I said, you had to get to that point where you're like, this person doesn't do the same thing, and you have to keep telling yourself that this isn't the same person as before. And like I
Yeah.
said, luckily she was understanding because I was just completely a mess after that whole thing went down. And I stayed away from like dating and anything like that for like 5 years at least because I was just so messed up in general. And it was just
Yeah.
it was just hard, because like I couldn't accept to trust her because she cheated on me. So then the trust is gone. So now I'm like freaking out, everything now. My anxiety goes heightened like that cat in the complete stance, like that, I'm going straight like
Yes.
that every time something
Yeah.
happens.
Yes. I think
So
everything you're saying sounds normal to me, and
yeah,
like the normal ways that we then learn that we need to protect ourselves, that
yeah,
not necessarily that relationships are always physically unsafe.
yeah,
like a whole nother sort of conversation, but are they emotionally safe? Am I emotionally safe in this relationship
Yeah.
to share my thoughts, my feelings, to be myself, to be in like a relaxed state, or am I walking on eggshells?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that.
And yeah, and it's hard to switch out of eggshell mode with a
Right.
new partner if I've been kind of used to that for so long. But also for couples who are wanting to repair, this is also part of the challenge, is like we're creating something new.
Yeah.
We might fall back into old habits and catch ourselves and then try to learn the new ones again. And we are also trying to shift our bodies and our nervous systems from eggshell mode,
Yeah.
walking on eggshells, to take small risks again to trust our partner, um, and create that. And that can take time, especially the more damage has been done.
Yeah, no, 100% though. I get that too, Joe. But really quick though, for
hmm
people that are getting in that situation, do you have any advice for them? Like, hey, listen, if your partner's been through a lot and you know they have a rough history, what are some things you would tell them? Like, hey, listen, what are some things they need to understand right away when they're getting into it? Because I know obviously one of them is being really patient with them, understand that this person has been damaged, so they may have a lot of outbursts and things like that, because that is there anything else? Am I missing something here? I know I'm missing something here. You got, what do you suggest for someone, when getting into that situation? Like they know the person has a rough past. What do you suggest they do? How should they approach it? Is there things they need to be watching out for? Because obviously this person's not used to being treated right. So this person that's coming in, the partner, what should they know ahead of time?
Um, yeah, I'm thinking like if sorry, I'm having like five thoughts at once. So
Me too. That's
let's
what I'm
try
like. I'm over
to
here the same thing. I'm
prioritize
like, my head's going,
them.
it's going to
Yeah.
town.
Um so getting some education is always going to be helpful. Like
Yeah.
if somebody has a mental health diagnosis, like
Yeah.
or has PTSD from their past relationship, like I would 100% be learning about PTSD and
Yeah.
the and how that is for an individual, how that impacts couples. Like just some education
Yeah.
is going to go a long way.
No, I agree.
Um, but the thing that I would be wanting to talk to with the couple or the individual would be um, normalizing that you're going to want to react because
Yeah.
you're going to be triggered too. You both are going to get triggered and you're going to want to react. And that our goal as an individual in a relationship is to slow down, try to figure out what is getting triggered in me, and can
Yeah.
I communicate that in a vulnerable way. And so if their partner has had a lot of sort of relational trauma in their past relationship and is lashing out when they get triggered,
Yeah.
one of the things that um, they could do is they could, instead of lashing out back or instead of walking away, saying like, this is really hurting me right now. Like when you're talking to me like that, I'm getting triggered. I don't
Yeah.
like it. Like being vulnerable themselves, which is incredibly hard to do. It doesn't have to be like you're making me feel worthless. Like that might be too vulnerable in
Yeah,
a
like
moment
you
like
said though,
that.
like
But
tell them like communicate, hey, listen, this is triggering me. Like just so you
yeah,
know, hey, these are the things that you need to try and avoid. This is the kind of and let someone know. Like and the other person on the other side, because I deal with it myself right now, is that my wife will tell me those things. She'll be like, hey, listen, this triggers me a little bit, just and I'm like, okay, cool. We're done doing that 100%. If I didn't know, okay,
yeah,
cool. I'm so sorry and I'm listening to what she's actively listening to what she's saying. I think that's the key part of it is to listen to them. They're going to communicate to you and tell you these things. Hey, listen, this is triggering to me. That doesn't mean continue to do it, fellas. Like let's be smart about this. Let's listen to what they're saying. Your partner male, female, whatever choice of partner you have, just listen to them when they tell you something like that, because I think that is the biggest thing too. Because one, you'll earn their trust, and two, they're telling you what's triggering them. I'm falling right along the lines, along the lines
Yes.
there. Jesus, I can't talk.
Yeah, and ideally, like, couples are gonna grow in their ability to do this together, like, both
Yeah,
partners to do this together, and that creates a sense of safety in the
yeah,
relationship, because if I just blow up at you back, that tells you, "I'm not hearing you, you're
yeah,
not safe, I'm gonna lash out at you." Um, that doesn't create a sense of safety. If I
yeah,
just completely don't say anything, don't acknowledge what you're saying, and just walk into another room, that also doesn't create a sense of safety. It creates a sense of like being ignored, kind of neglected, abandoned, and so sometimes when people are also talking about boundary setting in
yes,
relationships,
yes. I love it. Love boundaries.
yes, but they need to be communicated boundaries, because if I say like, if in my own anger, like my partner's lashing out at me, and in my own anger I say something like, I'm not going to let you treat me like that, and then I walk away, that there's no real
No boundary being set there. You're not really
there. Yes.
specifying what it is. Yeah,
Yeah. So or if I just walk away, that's also not being really communicated. And sorry, my dog
no,
decided
you
to
go.
like lay on my foot. So
I just saw you start
um
wobbling back and forth, like, okay.
yes, yeah, she she decided to get very comfortable on me, and yeah, okay. But so it's got to
You're
be
good.
like a boundary that's coming
Yeah,
from a place of like asserting it, um which is different than not saying anything or asserting anything or becoming aggressive myself. There's like this
yeah,
balance that's to be had in the middle. So I could say something like, "This is really triggering me. This is really hurting. Could you please stop shouting?
yeah,
Like that's I can't understand what you're saying. Like if we can't calm this down a little bit, I'm going to need to take a break until we can be
yeah,
calmer." That is communicating and giving the person the choice
yeah,
to, and it's also not about um just on the topic of boundaries, there's a lot of like a boundary versus an ultimatum.
yeah,
Uh, ultimatums are about you have to do this
yeah,
or else. A boundary is I'm going to do this. If my boundaries are about my own needs as a human in a relationship, this is how I'll meet my needs. And I can ask you to meet them. And then if you can't meet them, then I need to meet them,
yeah,
versus about changing someone else's behavior.
yeah,
So saying like you need to calm down, that's not going to be. I think almost universally, no partner takes that well
right,
when you say
exactly.
you need to calm down. But what you can say is like, I'm having a really hard time um, following when the volume is so loud. I need it to be more quiet in order to be able to track what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah,
And if we can't find a way to do that here, then I'm going to need to wait until we can do that. That's more about me than saying you need to calm down.
yeah. No, I get that too. Or a lot of times what we'll do is if I start getting hot, I'll just like, yep, you need to go into the room, take a deep breath, and come back, and clear, get yourself refocused, because even de-escalating like that helps too. It's just like, because once you all start blowing up, then shit just starts getting said, and then you can't take back
Yeah.
things you say. And
Yeah.
when you start getting mad, you start throwing insults at each other and start saying crazy stuff to each other, and then it's like, yeah, y'all need to stop.
Yeah.
So, but let's change the topic a little bit, okay? So, as
Okay.
everyone can see, the second part of your name says the sex therapist. I am wondering
Yes.
what got you into the taboo subject of that, because, like we talked about before we hit record, was that a lot of times people don't want to talk about this area, which I think that
Yeah.
communication there too is really good as well.
Yes. Absolutely. So Before becoming a marriage counselor, I worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs as a trauma therapist, and I was one of two people who wa- were were trained in
Yeah.
trauma therapy. And because of the two of us, I was the only female, so I got most of the sexual trauma
Oh,
cases.
okay, okay. All right, makes
And
sense. All right.
so I have done a lot of work with sexual trauma with people who have PTSD from sexual trauma, um, and work with a lot of couples who have PTSD where one or both partners have PTSD. Oftentimes, somebody has sexual trauma in their background, which
Yeah.
impacts their sex life together.
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
um, and also, then when I did become a marriage counselor, um, I mean, it's one of it's one of the three: kids, sex, and money. You
Yeah.
know, like those topics. Like if I'm gonna be a marriage counselor that can really help the couples coming in, I need to be able to help with those things. And affair repair. Those are the
Yeah.
things that
Uh,
people need help with.
so a fair repair, I think, has got to be the most challenging one, though. You think about it, because the trust is broken there at that point. And then you got to
Yes.
try and rebuild the trust, like in that constant fear in the back of your head, especially people like me with anxiety. Our thoughts are racing. We're going, oh, when are they gonna? When are they? How we know they're gonna not do this again? You know what I mean? It's gonna go so
Yeah.
fast for me that it was like I could tell you from my experience. It was like ever since then, I couldn't trust her after that point. I was just like I couldn't trust anything she said. Even though all the years I watched her lie. That was the one thing when she cheated. I would think that was the trigger point for me. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, there's no coming back for me on that one.
Common for many people.
Yeah,
Yeah. Any type of big betrayal. It's not always an affair. I think that's
yeah,
the most commonly talked about um, thing that feels like a very large betrayal.
yeah,
But I've had other couples say, like, there was this one time and you didn't stand up for me to your mom, and I never got over that. There's any time that there is a really big betrayal in the
yeah,
relationship, that those are hard. You can repair for them. Most people who have some sort of large betrayal do actually stay together and repair, and you can be stronger than you were before that. But that is painful, hard work to do.
yeah. I would
Yeah.
assume though, like sexual assault definitely for a lot of the ladies that get assaulted. Men too. By the way,
Hmm.
guys, we get assaulted too, fellas. A lot of times we don't talk about it at all, but it does happen. I think that we need to
Yes.
clarify that too, that it does happen to men. But that's got to be real rough for them, though. I mean, think about it, because like them being intimate with another person, they've got to start having those flashbacks and things like that. I could only imagine the poor things those poor ladies or gentlemen that deal with, and it could be just something like we don't think of it that way, but it's just traumatizing like that in general, just interactions in
Yeah.
general.
Yes. And one of the common, probably one of the most common sexual challenges for couples is something called sexual desire discrepancy,
Yeah.
which is just like one person has a higher sex drive than the other one.
Yeah.
And then they have a little bit of conflict around the frequency of sex, usually because of the same thing we were talking about earlier. What does it trigger in me
Yeah.
emotionally if I'm the one with a higher sex drive and you don't want to have sex with me?
I could speak on
Like,
that for you a little bit, because it was
yeah,
like that with me and my ex. We were like that. We had two different levels of it, and it was always frustrating, because you're always like you're like, well, I'm trying to sleep with you. You know what I mean? You're not making your
yeah,
case when you're saying these following things. I'm trying to sleep with you. You should be happy about that. Probably not a great idea to tell them that, obviously. But it's like I get that, but at the same time, you need to respect your partner. Like if she's not in the mood, fellas, you can't force her to do something, or they'll just do it just because no, 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 no. You should never accept that, honestly, fellas. I'm telling you, and Liz will probably back this up. I'm not sure. She could tell me a fact or crime, but fellas, if she is not into it, then it is not worth it. Don't do that kind of thing. Like, because then you just like it breaks the trust a little bit. Because then she's gonna be like, well, whenever he
yes,
wants it, he'll get it. And it's like, no, no, that's not how it should be. A two-way road. Like, you should both agree that this is something you
yeah,
both want in unison. And if you don't feel that way, I don't know what to tell you guys. And you're looking at this from the wrong stance, because you're causing more harm than good at that point. Okay, well, you what is it? Whatever. Oh, I have my needs need to be met. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Be honest. Say,
Yeah.
listen, man, you're married. This
Yeah.
person's here with you. It's like you have to be respectful of the other party. You know what I'm saying? Lizzie, stop me if I'm talking
Yes.
crazy here, but you know
No,
what I'm
no.
saying?
I'm totally tracking with everything that you're saying, and it can be the female with the higher sex drive too
Yeah, that
at
too.
times.
Yep.
So yeah, it can swap. There is this sort of stereotype in our society that it's always the men, but it can be the female with the
Well,
higher sex
we can
drive.
blame we can both agree we blame the internet for that one, okay? Because like all
Yeah.
these things they see online and all this other crazy shit, it's just like blah blah. It's like the internet irritates me, and sometimes it's great, and other times it just pisses you off because the things they
Yes.
post, it's just like you're sending the wrong message to these other younger generations of females and guys that we should perceive everything as you know these things and that thing. Oh, this that. Oh, you should tell them what you're gonna. Get the fuck out of here. That's not how this works. Like this is like like some of these things you watch these videos and you're just like, huh? What did you just tell them to
Yeah.
do? Like, get the hell out of here, man. Or what is that? That Andrew Tate guy? God, I can't fucking stand that guy. He's so annoying. Like, just people like that are out there spreading these lies. Like, this is how you should treat your woman. No, fool, you shouldn't do these things. This is something you shouldn't be doing. God damn it! Don't pay attention to him.
Yeah. Maybe ask your partner how they want you to treat them. That's kind of what I'm
Once
thinking.
again, communication's the key here, fellas.
Yeah.
But I'm shouting it out like because not just the fellas, but I'm saying for us guys, communication is a killer, man. I think that's the hardest part because when it comes to guys ourselves, we don't talk about stuff, and I think that's just because that's how we were programmed. But at the same
Yeah.
time, there's some ladies that believe that same thing too. You see a lot of them posting these videos. Oh well, like the guy's upset in the video, and then she's getting mad. Well, why are you upset? Why are you crying? Why are you mad? No, stop. Let's stop posting this crap out here because these kids are seeing these things and now they're thinking that this is how a relationship should go. Is that you
Yeah.
should sit there and get mad at one another because one of you all are upset about something, and especially as guys, we're like always told, be quiet or just suck it up. It's
Yeah,
not how it works,
something that
fellas.
might be sensational on social media and get all the nice little views of the videos is not
Yeah.
necessarily the same thing that would lead to health, right?
God,
Health in a
no.
relationship and a sense of safety and security and connection.
Yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
the whole jealousy thing start coming into play. Well, you like this girl's video. Like there's so many stories you hear about that. Like the other partner is so defensive about something. And
Yeah.
instead of asking him what the deal is, it's like, what did you do to cause this problem? Now, if you're flirtatious with other women, okay, there's a problem there, Chief. You shouldn't be doing that first off, if you're in a relationship. I never
Yeah.
understand like maybe you can understand this, but I never understand why people cheat. It's like if you're not happy, then
Yeah.
leave. Then just make it a mutual agreement. Like, hey, listen, this ain't working out for us. I'm gonna do something
Yeah.
I'm having these feelings for others, something, I mean, just be honest. Am I not right? I mean, that makes no sense. Like, why cheat on somebody? Because
Yeah.
the long term effects, you don't know how that's going to affect them.
Yeah. It really varies. There is so like one of the early episodes that I did on my podcast was around a research like an article that talked about the 7 different reasons people have
Yeah.
affairs. And I'm not going to remember them all off the top of my head right now.
You're
But
probably reading like, this is crap. That's not crap. That's not right. Okay. You're sort of close.
there are some people who have affairs related to relationship problems, and then
Yeah.
they go out and they try to get their relationship needs met in another relationship without communicating and trying to work it through. And
Yeah.
but there are also people who might use sex almost for emotional regulation. And so
Yeah.
when you see people who are really struggling with porn use, like
Hmm.
where w- um, of course some of this has to do with the boundaries that couples agree to in their relationship
Yeah.
around porn or other sexual partners.
Yeah.
If they have a very closed relationship and they're like they don't want porn,
Yeah. No, I get that.
then but there are other couples who feel fine about porn and porn
Yeah.
use in their relationship. So whenever it becomes problematic, which is defined by the couple, right?
Yeah.
Um, or I've had clients who would have a series of one night stands. That is not about a relationship problem. That is usually more about um, how sex has become a tool for emotional regulation.
Yeah.
So there can be all sorts of reasons. I don't like the term sex addiction. There's like there's a bunch of debate. I think we would probably call most people who are ASECT certified sex therapists anyway would probably say it's more like compulsive sexual
Hmm.
behaviors, or it's something that then becomes like at a problematic level.
Yeah.
But working with that, um, it is something that I like to do also, and it's a completely different thing than working with like the more traditional. I had an affair that lasted,
Yeah.
where I fell in love with this other partner, and it was ongoing, and there was this emotional attachment to them. Those are very different sort of situations.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. Yo, we did an episode with somebody that was a what addiction about a porn addiction specialist. That's what he was in, and he was telling us some really strange facts about things, and it was just interesting to understand, like, it's not what you think it is when people say they're addicts. It's not like they're watching it every single day. It's the behavior and mannerisms, like they're hiding it and they're ashamed to talk about it. And a lot of times that's the friction they have too, is because the partner's like, well, I don't
Yeah.
agree with you watching this, but they're going to watch it in secrecy either way.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, that's also really relevant to the sex topic in general,
Hmm.
is that people have so much shame around sex, around
Yeah.
around wanting sex, around not wanting sex, around the frequency that they want or don't want sex,
Yeah.
around what they like, around voicing what they like or voicing what they feel just uncomfortable about. There's so much shame and fear of rejection when it
Yeah.
comes to sex, that this is also an area where those early years in a relationship really matter, because how we navigate talking about sex then sets the tone for, is it emotionally safe
Yeah.
for me to voice how I think and feel about sex as we move on in our relationship. And
Yeah.
if we build safety at the beginning, then it's easier to have all these hard conversations. If we um, struggle, then it often continues to spiral.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that though, because that fear of rejection, and it's like, well, oh, she's not ever in the mood. It's like, yeah, but what are you part of you playing in this conversation too? Like, and it's not always them. Maybe it's something you're doing. Have you ever thought about talking to them? We're back to the conversation part now,
Hmm.
having a conversation with your other half and asking him, hey, listen, and just talking about it. Like, don't make it sound like, you're so bitter about it. Maybe be curious, like, hey, listen, like, what is it that's going wrong? Like, what can I do to get you in the mood, kind of, like those kind of conversations that nobody wants to have. It's like everybody feels like when you say sex, everybody's ears are shut off. They're like, oh shit, earmuff time, everybody. Like you earmuff, but like, why earmuff? Like, it's a normal conversation for two people to have.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go have it out with your neighbors and everybody else, and have it, sit around the table. Like, now, if you're open talking that conversation, okay, that's your own personal business. But a lot of people that just like to hear that and just go instantly go, oh well, no, that's all you're worried about. It's just that there too, and it's like, oh, you guys kill me with that thing. It's because it's like they don't communicate. Everybody gets so sensitive as soon as the word sex comes in. And it's like, well, that's all you're thinking about right now, and it's like, maybe that's not it. Maybe they're just trying to communicate, like we were talking about, they're trying to communicate about
Yeah.
what it is their needs are, hey, listen, this, things like that too. But let's be honest here though, guys. Be realistic. Don't be like, oh, well, I need it every single day. Get the fuck out of here. Really? Come on now, man. People are not, we're not machines here, man. Like, come on. Like, I don't get it. Like, some of these guys, they say the goofiest shit possible. It's like, I'm like, do you ever listen to yourselves? Do you guys really listen to the shit you're saying sometimes? Like, just the dumb stuff you say. It's just like, you sound like you sound so stupid because you're saying these things because you got it from somewhere, Andrew Tate or whatever the hell's out there telling you that this is how things should go. And it's like, it's not, fellas.
Yeah.
Like, we got to stop this shit. This, like, we got to have more open conversations about these kind of things, not make it so taboo.
Yeah, one of the things that's coming to my mind as you're talking about that is I remember hearing uh, a therapist say once that life is about having the full menu.
Oh
The
gosh.
like if I go
Mhm.
to a restaurant, I need a full menu, right? I can't just
Oh,
have dessert all day every day. That's going to make me sick and it's going
yeah.
to eventually lose its uh
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good analogy,
deliciousness.
actually. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good analogy. Think about the way they're presenting it. It makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. And so um sex is a way to feel really close to my partner.
Yeah,
And it is, I mean, there are so many reasons people have sex. That, of course, it's a stress reliever. It helps people feel close to each other. It can help people sleep, like those. So there's lots of reasons to have sex. But for many of the couples where
yeah,
they're struggling to feel emotionally close, often this is a very fast way to try to feel emotionally close and connected again. And
yeah,
what they haven't developed is the rest of their menu is how do we have different ways to feel close that feel good and they can feel healthy and they're different and we can have variety.
yeah,
And that is sometimes where couples can find other ways of being together that are meaningful in addition to sex. And then that often um, helps the person who is wanting sex as that fast way to get close to their partner, because they have now found other ways to get to that closeness. And it also helps the person who's like, I can't have sex every single day.
right.
So, have other ways of feeling close as well.
Yep. Okay, so we got a comment that came in. Mimi says, "Talk to each other, be interested in each other, make sure everyone is contributing equally. People can lose interest from disappointment, tiredness, and too much in a comfort zone." Y-
Yeah, well, I think they're really pointing to the importance of communication, right?
Yeah,
That we have been talking about.
Mimi, thank you so much for
Um,
the comment.
yeah, and I think that's really important because I'm thinking about another thing that I heard from doctors John and Julie Gottman at a they are um, researchers that do a bunch of research on couples, and they were saying like sometimes I have needs to rest, right? And other times I have needs to be active. Like just they weren't talking in a sexual context. They were just
Yeah,
saying like, one day I might come home and I need to relax and watch TV. Another day I might be like, oh, I've got all of this energy. I want to go on a walk. Let's go on a bike ride. Let's go, do something. That there's variation
yeah,
in what we need. And I
yeah,
think the comment was alluding to that. We can have different needs at different times, and how do
yeah,
we learn how to communicate about those together?
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think that that's the thing is, it's just I think Mimi's point's really, really good there, though. Being, a lot of times people get in that comfort zone and they don't think that something's wrong, or all the other things that it just yeah. I mean, that's why communication's great, though. I mean, that's why having a healthy communication with your partner at the end of the day is really great because then you both be on the same page. So if someone feels like the other one is not feels they're not carrying their weight in some sort of the relationship, it's like, hey, listen, it's okay to talk about these kind of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah. You've got the two spectrums.
Yes.
The communication helps you navigate conflict, right? And problem solve and compromise and come back together to be on the same page as a team.
Yeah.
And then communication also helps you communicate or I'm sorry, it does help you communicate, but it helps you with connection, which is the ooey gooey lovely feeling of relationships. It's the love
Right.
part. It helps us have the closeness that is the really is the beautiful part that brings us together in the first place.
Exactly. So, Liz, we're at the part of the show. I'm going to ask you the all important question. If your mental health had a song, what would that song be?
Oh man,
I always get great responses from this one. Trust me, this is always a fun
I
question.
so I've never thought about this, so I am going with what comes to my head
Yeah, go
right
with the first song
now.
comes. Yeah, let's see what comes up.
But
This
I am thinking what's coming to my mind is our wedding song, which was
okay, okay,
Bloom by the Paper Kites.
okay, okay.
And one of the song lyrics is "Can I be close to you?" And I
Yeah,
think that really summarizes my view on relationships
yeah,
and relationship struggles and what we all need to be thriving, which is to be close to meaningful others.
right. And that's awesome. Jen, I'm sorry, Liz, as we get ready to close out this episode of People Society, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you? I know you have your podcast. How often do you
Yeah.
drop it?
Once a month. We have one once a month.
Okay,
So the first Monday of every month is when we have new episodes. So that is if you go to communicateandconnect.com,
okay,
you'll slash podcasts is the direct way to get to the podcasts. Um, and if you were just trying to get a hold of me or looking for like counseling or training in marriage and family therapy, that is also there too at communicateandconnect.com.
there you go, guys, and you know where to find her. Go check her out. Let Liz know you saw her on the show. I'm sure she'd appreciate hearing that somebody's seen her on this episode. And Liz, I want to thank you so much for coming today. I think it was great. Sorry, I think the conversation needed to be had. I think that communication at the end of the day is key in a lot of relationships. I think it's what you're doing is great. I think what you're doing for these military families is fantastic because it's hard, like you said. It's hard. You being a spouse yourself, you understand. So I think that's what really connects you to a lot of people because they're like, hey, listen, she's going through this, and I think what you're doing is fantastic at the end of the day. So I just want to say hats off to you. Hats off to your husband too. Tell him we appreciate him doing what he's doing out there. He may be doing the little things or whatever. It doesn't matter. He's over there.
Yeah.
He's spending time away from you and the family. So it's totally understand. So as I wrap up this episode of Pete for Anxiety, guys, you know where to find me. I'm Pete for Anxiety on X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify all the way down to iHeartRadio. And as I always say, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing. Be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do could save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete for Anxiety, saying off, saying, hey, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health today?